The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Malaysia wins its appeal against enforcing a partial award in a $15 billion claim by heirs of a former sultan. The Filipino heirs of the last sultan of Sulu won a $14.9 billion award in an arbitration over a colonial-era land deal. However, the Paris Court of Appeals found the case arbitrator had wrongly upheld his jurisdiction. The win implies that the final award will be annulled and that the descendants' efforts to seize Malaysia's assets will end. The claimants said they would consider their options before the French Supreme Court. The dispute stems from an 1878 deal signed between European colonists and the Sultan of Sulu for use of his territory. Ukrainians abandoned inundated homes as floods crested across the south after the destruction of a huge hydroelectric dam on front lines between Russia and Ukrainian forces. Both sides continue to trade blame for the disaster, with Russian President Vladimir Putin accusing Ukraine of destroying the dam at the suggestion of Western supporters. Residents slogged through flooded streets while rescuers used rubber boats to search for areas where the waters reached above head height. Ukraine said the deluge would leave hundreds of thousands of people without access to drinking water, swamp tens of thousands of hectares of agricultural land, and turn at least 500,000 hectares deprived of irrigation into deserts. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a video address that it was impossible to predict how many people would be in Russian-occupied areas due to the flooding. He urges a, quote, clear and rapid reaction from the world to support victims. Russia imposed a state of emergency in the areas of Kherson province it controls, where many towns and villages lie in exposed lowlands below the dam.
Але потрібні масштабні зусилля. Потрібно, щоб міжнародні організації, такі як Червоний Хрест, негайно долучилися до рятувальної операції та допомогли людям саме на окупованій частині Херсонщини. Розучилися рятувати життя. Якщо зараз міжнародні організації немає в зоні цієї катастрофи, значить її взагалі немає. Значить вона недієздатна. Всі відповідні звернення України, нашого уряду є.
Ukrainian troops have advanced up to 1,100 meters near the eastern city of Bakhmut, the first gains it has reported since Russia and Ukraine had started a counter-offensive. Moscow said that this week Kyiv had launched a series of assaults in its partially occupied region of Donetsk, while they described as the start of a planned Ukrainian counter-offensive. Ukrainian officials have said little to respond to the Russian assertions, although a senior security official denied that a broad counter-offensive had begun. More than a dozen U.S. states were under air quality alerts on Wednesday due to smoke from wildfires in Canada. In New York City, skies were a uniform gray and the air smelled like burning wood. The city's skyscrapers, which can be seen for miles away on a clear day, were rendered nearly invisible. Authorities issued a health warning calling on residents to limit the outdoors. Some school activities and events in New York were canceled, postponed, or moved indoors. Officials said there are blazes in nearly all of Canada's 10 provinces and territories. About 3.3 million hectares have been burned, while over 12,000 people have been evacuated.
We had dangerously high levels of wildfire smoke from thousands of miles away. But this is an unprecedented event in our city, and New Yorkers must take precaution. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has issued an air quality health advisory for all 5 boroughs.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. Pope Francis is currently doing well after undergoing abdominal surgery, which his doctors described as a success. The doctor who operated on the Pope said it would take the pontiff a few days to recover after a 3-hour operation to repair an hernia. Once his recovery is complete, the Pope is not expected to have any limitations in his travel or other activities. According to the surgeon, the Pope was in good spirits when he woke up, going so far as joking and teasing the doctor.
L'intervento chirurgico e l'anestesia generale si sono svolti senza complicazioni. Il Santo Padre ha reagito bene sia all'intervento chirurgico che all'anestesia. Il Santo Padre è già sveglio, ha già scherzato e già mi ha preso in giro.
Embattled CNN Chairman and Chief Executive Chris Light has stepped down from the media company. Its parent company Warner Brothers Discovery confirmed this to Reuters on Wednesday. Aside from sagging ratings, Light has been recently under pressure due to several issues. These include the network's decision to broadcast a town hall with former President Donald Trump. Trump repeated falsehoods about his election loss and called one CNN moderator a nasty person. An interim leadership team has been put in place while the company seeks for Light's replacement. England's graduates are facing the worst job market in years, with fewer openings and lower wages. More of that in this report by Asad Zulfikar of Bloomberg News.
Summer is here, the season for PIMS, festivals, and graduation. England's highly educated young people have had to endure academia during a pandemic and Brexit. The last thing they want to think about is joining the workforce. But it is recruitment season, and the outlook, according to the Reed Jobs Report, is cloudy. For two main reasons. Jobs for graduates are on the decline, and inflation has taken a big bite out of their wages. At their peak, graduates had over 22,000 jobs to choose from. Now, they have about 12,000. So why are companies shying away from young people? Well, two reasons. Inflation is high, and interest rates are rising. As a result, they're choosing not to invest in young people and onboarding and recruiting and integrating these graduates who aren't as experienced in the workplace because those investments yield less in the short term. The decline in opportunities is felt the most in England's economic centre of gravity, London. 5 years ago, the capital had close to 40% of graduate opportunities. Today, it's closer to 30%. But what's bad for London has been good for Bristol, Birmingham, Cambridge, Manchester and Reading. England's other cities have each seen their share of vacancies rise to the highest in the last 5 years. So if you're a graduate looking for work in this economy, you might be best advised to avoid the shiny grad job in London, where the salary is really high, but the rent is as well.
And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. Coming right up is Agenda at 8 a.m. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News, all sides, all the time.